Justin Trudeau has resigned. I think it's about the 7th or 8th time, but rumor has it that it's final.
Is it final this time?
I think it is, because they have a new PM, Mark Carney. So if Justin Trudeau hasn't, in fact, resigned and they have 2 PMs, all hell's going to break loose.
It's like having 2 dads. It's very inclusive. Justin Trudeau will love it.
But also, you'd say you would expect by someone who claims to put Canada first to not go back and try to challenge the guy who succeeded him and to split the country in 2, because he really wants to be the first person to resign for 10 times. Something. It's about 8th or 9th now. So
it's a record.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about the legacy of Justin Trudeau. You know most of it, but we are going to also tell you some of the funny stuff. But before we do, we have Oil Under 3 magazine. Definitely go and check. Josh really likes it when I say it this way, right? And
the Oilander.
Oilander, yeah. Okay.
It doesn't come with a free pack of crude oil, unfortunately. But
right. So it's only £14.99. Just, it's a no-brainer. Go and get it. Go and get it.
You don't even need to remortgage your house to buy it.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, there are lots of people who are spending money and they really regret it. So you can either spend £15 and regret it, or spend £15 and not regret it by buying Islander 3. Right, let's go to Trudeau now. So this happened in January 6. We had Trudeau who went out.
Jan 6,
yes.
Is that
over the holidays?
That disaster we've been hearing about?
I've also had a chance to reflect.
He went out. There is context behind that video. They literally had the podium and papers on top, and the wind started blowing, and the leaves scattered in the wind. And
Nature didn't want to hear his speech, is what I'm hearing.
Exactly. So Trudeau went out and he said that he wants to be close to his family and he wants a new chapter in his life. And he said that he is a proud Canadian who put the nation first. Now, yesterday, we have another announcement that he resigned. Really don't know what to make of it.
He's putting the nation first, so he's stepping down. That's
exactly
the best thing he's ever done.
And this is March 14, so he is resigning for a long time now.
The first reply I saw to that, Canada has lost a good prime minister. According to who?
According to a person calling himself True History.
Apparently.
Right. So here is his final message, I think. This is going to be one of his final videos. And I literally want you to hear it, because I heard it, so you have to hear it as well. But I literally want to torture people with this video.
You literally want to torture them?
Yes.
Rather than figuratively?
Yeah, it's one of those cases where I feel comfortable saying it. Let's hear to what he has to say, and also examine what he has to say, because we should give people the benefit of the doubt.
I think he's well past it.
So proud of Canadians. I'm proud to have served a country full of people who stand up for what's right, rise to every occasion, and always have each other's backs when it matters most. This may be my last day here in this office, but I will always be boldly and unapologetically Canadian. My only ask is that no matter what the world throws at us, you always be the same.
Trudeau wants Legion Trudeau's or something. I want more of you.
The funny thing is, he's talking about how much he loves Canadians. He loves them so much that on his watch, he flooded the country full of people who are not Canadians.
But they weren't true Canadians, those who protested against him, were they?
They weren't Trudeau, were they?
They weren't Trudeau Canadians.
But also, yeah, he's done loads of things, to name a few. Obviously massive Indian migration. He's done didn't they do joint military ops with the Chinese? And the Americans were very upset about this, because they're like, well, they're scoping out North America for a potential invasion, you idiots. What are you doing? That was another Trudeau success.
Well, he is one of the woke princes, and we are going to talk about several stuff here. So here we have one of those videos that went viral. We have many people uploading it. Don't just go and tell me this is only 280 views and only 3.6k. Millions watched it, right? So
This is just one version of it.
Yes, I've shown it before. He's confronted by a Canadian steel worker who basically says, "I don't believe you. You're doing nothing for me. I'm paying 40% taxes, and I don't have access to basic goods.
That sounds like most people who are... Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah, but it's
At
good.
least he knows his position in the world.
Exactly. Look at what he told him.
Oh.
Every time we go for a dental visit, it's costing me about $50 in my pocket per person.
Okay.
Why? I have a good job. You're not really doing anything for us, Justin.
Well, actually, we just invested, so 500,000 people haven't been to the dentist.
Yeah.
Got to go to the dentist over the past few months.
Probably like my neighbor that doesn't go to work because she's lazy.
Well,
She
you know
just
what?
doesn't go to work. She lives the same
Most
life I do.
Canadians try to stick up for each other, and that's what we're going to keep doing.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
luck and take care of your family,
Oh,
sir.
no, I'm good. Thank you.
All right.
Have a nice day.
Have a good day, sir.
I think that epitomizes Trudeau basically, because he literally had severe egalitarian instincts, and he literally wanted to level everyone down.
Literally.
Yes.
No,
Why'd you hate me saying literally, Josh, brother Josh? Why?
because it's one of those things where people say it and don't mean it. But
I say it and I do mean it. You confuse me for a politician.
Steos, I believe everything you say, don't worry.
Thank
But the interesting thing here is that his rebuttal to him was basically just like, well,
Platitudes.
yeah, well, that's just what Canadians are like. We like being ripped off by lazy people in our own country. If you read the subtext, he's
Yeah,
saying,
you're
well,
not a true Canadian. So, and being unapologetically Canadian means that you want everyone leveled down.
according to Trudeau, it means sitting on your backside and collecting welfare.
Right. So we have here the new Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, who basically vows to get straight to work. And he basically has a career in financing. He was governor of the Bank of Canada, I think, for 7 years, from 2008. He was working at Goldman Sachs. And
Why is it... Working for Goldman Sachs is like a golden ticket to political leadership, isn't it?
I don't know why, Josh.
It's funny, isn't it? There's some sort of revolving door system here, isn't there?
Yeah. Right. Here we have Pierre Poilievre basically saying that as Trudeau's economic advisor, Carney made Canada weaker and poorer, and working for himself, he made America stronger and richer. And he's basically saying that he wasn't elected and that he announces that he's going to cut Trudeau's carbon tax, that he himself was a supporter of it. But he just, obviously, he's going to announce it because the elections are coming.
Many such cases. This is like your typical conservative, the same thing that you get in Britain, where they're conservative in name only, and their actual politics are just left-wing politics of a few years before the current left-wing establishment.
Yeah, that's. But he's saying also about Carney that he supported the carbon tax, and now Carney goes out and says that I'm going to slash it. But it says basically it's you can't have a career constantly advocating for taxes of the sort and then mysteriously slash them a few months before a general election. And
It sounds very familiar, doesn't it?
Exactly.
I think Canada's politics are some of the most comparable to Britain going, because their party dynamic is very similar to ours. But sorry, do carry on.
No, just no reason to apologize. It looks like, though, that even the Canadian Libs had an issue with Trudeau, and ever since he resigned, their popularity has increased.
Yeah, he was probably a dead weight for them, wasn't he? I mean, he's sort of tanked their reputation as much as you possibly could.
He was losing momentum, and he has a legacy that if you find out what it is, you're not gonna have any second doubts.
Well, your legacy is making Canada objectively worse.
Exactly. And we have here a really good list. It says worst housing affordability ever, skyrocketing national debt, rampant inflation, homelessness in 10 cities. I've been hearing by people that it's almost double the cost to buy a house right now in Canada that it used to be a few years ago.
It doesn't surprise me, to be honest. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Violent crime soaring, opioid deaths on the rise, healthcare system breakdown, bank account freezes during protests.
That was the truckers, wasn't it?
Truckers' protests. Ethics scandal, censorship of citizens, food bank use at record highs, excessive government spending, 25 years high interest rates, reckless immigration policy.
So one of the things there, the food bank use, I would like to inject a little bit of red pill wisdom here. So Canada's got a lot of Indian people, and there was a scandal in Britain of all of the Indian people coming to Britain using food banks even though they were in full-time work just because they're cheap. And they were doing it to just save money. They're just like, well, no one asks us any questions, so we get free food. I do wonder whether that's a similar thing there. Although, of course, I don't imagine that people are sort of at their financial best in Canada at the minute.
I like your Rogan Josh version when you're talking about Indian recipes. Right, so let's just remember a few things. I think one of the worst elements of Trudeau's, apart from the economic ones, obviously, because it's a huge harm, I think he was excessively bad at free speech issues. He was putting forward
certainly true, yeah.
all those hate speech bills that were, some of them had retroactive clauses. And the way he handled the truckers' protests was appalling, and it was visibly different to the way that pro-Palestine and pro-Hamas protests were dealt with. And we have here several of the bloopers, and I think that it's tragic but also comic, because the very people who are constantly saying that we are going to be the experts of singling out basically Nazis and telling you where hate speech leads, and if you just make a joke or a meme, you're going to be a Nazi. A literal Nazi flew under the radar, and they gave him a standing ovation.
I remember this.
Yes, it's just
Zelensky's speech received at least a dozen standing ovations. There was also one for this man, a 98-year-old Ukrainian Canadian who fought for Ukrainian independence against the Russians during the Second World War.
Yes. So I think this is one of the major bloopers of his candidacy.
Because, of course, imagine that, was it a Ukrainian guy they were saying? So they invited in a Ukrainian when the Ukraine invasion stuff was going on, right? And they think, oh, well, he's a veteran of World War II, and he's Ukrainian. He's the perfect guy. Little did they know which side they actually fought on.
But also we need to talk about the truckers' protests and how he handled them and how lots of mainstream media were portraying the issue. We have here just a searching bar from... No, BBC says, Trudeau vows to freeze anti-mandate protesters' bank accounts. And I think he did, didn't he?
Eventually, I think.
Eventually, yeah.
Look at New York Times there.
Yeah.
Trudeau was right to use emergency powers. No, New York Times, he wasn't.
Yes. Canada, they froze hundreds of accounts.
What did Trudeau say when he announced the freeze? Did he say, a freeze is coming?
Yeah, the Iceman cometh.
That's what he said, I think.
Yes. And here we have a Canadian judge saying basically that the Emergencies Act to quell truckers' protests over COVID was unreasonable, and I think that's a reasonable thing to make. I literally think that it's not that easy. If it's not that hard, basically. Okay, I mixed my words, but it's not that hard for Western governments to not alienate their people. And it looks
it's quite
like
easy, actually. It's almost like they don't care or something, isn't it?
Exactly, but you can also show that you care about basics stuff. Like you care to represent your people, you care to listen to what may concern them. They don't do even that. And Trudeau was basically the woke prince of it. I think Trudeau and Biden were really close there.
If a politician assumed office and just went on holiday on their first day and never came back, they would be one of the best politicians the Western world has seen in decades.
I think actually this sounds like a good politician. Like just stay away from people's business.
If you want to nominate me to go on a permanent holiday somewhere, I'm more than happy. So if you want to get that campaign going, I do take investors.
But what was he doing then? When he was unconstitutional, he was ecstatic. We have here a video where he is ecstatic and euphoric about getting the jab. Let us watch.
No, it's amazing because we were talking about how important it was for everyone to get vaccinated and what a big deal it was to get vaccinated. So I thought that was all built in already, but getting that shot really was an amazing feeling. It hits you.
Did you cry?
Really hard in the face.
I cry at I cry at movies. I didn't cry at the shot, but it was a moment where you realize, okay, this is it. And it wasn't so much because I felt that I'm at high risk because we're being careful and I'm healthy and I'm young and all that. But at the same time, it's knowing that each of us doing our part is getting through this, because we don't get through this unless the vast majority of the population gets that first shot and then a few months later gets that second shot. That's how we get through it. And it's something that everyone can do. And we're just seeing Canadians come out in such strong numbers all across the country.
He felt great.
And he said, do it for the crusty uncle who resists. But Josh, really, I took issue with something you said.
You did?
Yes. You equated crying in movies with peeing standing down. It depends on the movie. But I cry at the Lord of the Rings when the Rohirrim are charging to the orcs.
You're allowed to... There are exceptions. I think majesty and glory are acceptable. You know, funerals maybe, close relative.
Yeah.
Other than that...
But Lord of the Rings, definitely.
Oh, no. That's like tippity top.
Right, so Trudeau was insufferable for everyone, basically, also for political leaders. Here we have a Politico article saying that Trudeau slams Meloni over LGBTQ plus record. And out of nowhere, at a G7 meeting, he started lashing out at her about the rights of 2 LGBTQI plus people. That's a lot. Right, so he was insufferable to people from all walks of life. Mm-hmm. But he also had an issue with the word mankind, didn't he?
This is my favorite cringe video. This is like
so that's
Canadian
why we
office
came here today to ask you to also look into the policies that religious charitable organizations have in our legislation so that it can also be changed, because maternal love is the love that's going to change the future of mankind. So we'd like you to look into
we like to say people kind, not necessarily mankind.
She was so sexist, wasn't she?
Yeah. Everything about this is
annoying. She said mankind.
Everything about this annoyed me. Just like the future is about, women doing stuff, and then he's like, actually, we can't even say mankind anymore.
You have internalized toxic masculinity. So even at a speech where you're talking about how the future belongs to mothers, you're actually toxically masculine.
Yeah, if you say something that isn't actively facilitating the destruction of any male agency in society, Justin Trudeau pops up out of the ground and corrects your speech, your terminology.
Also, we couldn't not mention the resemblance between Fidel Castro and Justin Trudeau. Could we omit this?
It's surprising, isn't it? I've seen the theories of how the picture of his mother clasping onto Castro like he's a beloved dear friend, like they're very close to one another, and then you see the similarities and you're like, wow, okay. They do look quite similar, don't they? I
do have the impression that we are going to hear about this in the future as well. Oh, maybe really? he isn't going to be the PM, but this story is going to come back.
He's going to be going to Cuba maybe for his next political move.
I don't know. Maybe to try and lift the embargo. I don't think he would be successful now with Trump, though.
That's true.
Right. So he was also a good dancer, wasn't he?
Was he? I don't know.
Have you watched this video where
I haven't, but I'm going to be horrified.
Dancing an Indian dance here? It's a weird video. What do you think about his dancing moves?
I mean, he got it down, to be fair. I can't really criticise it, because he did do the Indian dancing as spot on as you could have. I'm not going to be harsh here, let's be honest.
Right, so, okay, I don't want you to look at what is written up there, but I want you to...
Trop important pour prendre au sérieux.
On a un escalier, on peut avoir une démonstration.
Aucun problème.
Non!
Am I allowed to look? Yeah.
Demonstrating how to do something.
Le truc,
C'est vrai, tomber des escaliers.
comment ça fonctionne? Normalement, je te mettrais genre ici, là, puis je passerais, puis je dis, hey, comment ça va? Oui, c'est vraiment le fun, là, puis là, tu...
That's Justin Trudeau.
Yeah.
Tu vois, t'étais réellement inquiet, là. Il était réellement pas trop sûr si je l'avais...
Threw me off because he's speaking French.
I don't know if it's a fake or not, but it's just so funny.
It does look like him.
Yeah.
Speaking of which...
Speaking of which...
Oh.
Technology is an issue here. Okay, so we have Justin Trudeau doing the face. He's sticking out his tongue.
Yeah, he's
doing the Kalima thing in the spirit of the dance before.
What, the Indiana Jones one where he's taking the heart out?
Yeah, no.
Let's have a proper look at that picture. Oh.
This is a video of him. And wait, no. Where is it? Wait.
Well, if you go to the previous one, there's a proper picture of it.
Yes. Yeah, that one. Yeah, okay. Blackface during a 2001 Arabian Night.
I would like to point out I don't care whatsoever about this sort of thing. I just think it's funny when, if you're woke and you supposedly oppose it, then you always find out that they've done stuff like this. It's like how feminists date really manly men.
Yeah.
It's people are compensating.
Do you think that this was the straw that broke the camel's back? Or was it the Castro thing? Because I think after this, he literally wanted to overcompensate and convince everyone how he isn't doing any sort of cultural appropriation. Although the Indian dance video was a bit appropriative, culturally speaking, wasn't it?
Was he in India, though? He was surrounded by Indians, and they facilitated it, therefore.
They allowed him. They gave him a pass.
They gave him the Indian pass, yeah.
Yeah, they gave him...
Also, I mean, he's not even got the right colour there. Just a point about correct application of blackface here. If you're depicting an Arab, you don't want to be like pitch black as night, do you? That's just a poor depiction. Have a bit of class and etiquette with your blackface, please.
And I want to end with this declaration of meme where they post a video there on YouTube and say sometimes
I've seen this, yeah.
accidentally gets it right. Everyone has watched it, but it's a good way to bid farewell to Trudeau and say bye Trudeau. I don't know if Canada will miss him.
No, I certainly won't.
What do you think? Tell us, Canadian friends, tell us if you're going to miss Justin Trudeau.
Islander issue 3 is now available to purchase from shop.lotus.com and is the next step in the story that we are telling with this magazine. For this issue, we have collected piercing and esoteric essays from the finest right-wing minds on the theme of our civilizational winter. Each of our authors is an expert in bringing forth the most important hidden revelations from the lowest reaches of the soul, and it has all been beautifully rendered in a medievalist revivalist aesthetic. For this issue, I commissioned a new translation of the ancient Anglo-Saxon poem, The Wanderer, and have written a companion essay exploring how it is a reflection of our modern experience. I personally feel that this is the most important thing I've ever written, so I will be looking forward to your feedback on it. We have resolved our distribution issues, with the magazines being printed in advance of the orders, so we can guarantee that you will receive your copy very soon after ordering it, and you will also receive emailed updates so you can see exactly where it is. Hopefully, issue 3 can provide you with the space and context to engage in deep reflection about the nature of our circumstances, to discover hidden truths about yourself and find the resolve to make it through our spiritual exile.